You have to admire a person who understands the assignment and gets the job done. Erin Merrill is a mom, career woman, outdoor writer, and hunter, especially when it comes to bears. When she gets tired, she simply finds another gear and just keeps on going. Are you ready for a great conversation that can help you build your own bandwidth, get more out of life, and maybe a little inspiration? Episode 17 of the Fit to Hunt podcast, powered by Wilderness Athlete, starts now. So, how did we meet again?
I think we met in Deercast for Jory Outdoors.
It sounds like a million years ago.
It-
If you looked at my level of writing back then, I think we always think that our stuff gets better, and it should. But I think if you looked at the dribble that I was putting out 5 years ago,
I think wasn't it more than that?
to
Was
be
it
honest with
longer
you, I
than
don't
that?
know. I can't remember when the app actually came online.
Right. Because I feel like you were one of the first ones with me that was actually writing for it before it went public.
It was a great experience. It taught me a lot of things. Now, I wouldn't say I'm into photography because I'm not in photography. I'm in it from the perspective of I understand that it's important now to go along with your social posts and your articles and whatnot. I don't love it, but I understand it better. Well, I mean, that's part of what that is. So I don't know. This could go a million different ways. I have no idea what we're going to talk about tonight. So we'll just kind of roll with it and go from there.
Wing it. Sounds
Wing it.
good.
Yeah. So I've actually been struggling with what I'm going to call this episode.
Okay.
So badass mommy bear hunter. I don't know. Do you have any suggestions other than that? That seems to be your stake. Bears.
I do like that.
Let's just jump
I
down
love
to the
it.
bottom of these things we talked about before we had pre-production. Is why bears?
Why bears?
Why bears?
That 2014,
Mm-hmm.
Maine had a bear referendum, and the Humane Society of the United States took it to the ballot box to get rid of all of our methods of hunting. So I believe Maine is the only state in the country that allows you to still hunt, use bait, use hounds, and trap. So there's 4 different methods to bear hunting here. And as a writer, I wanted to learn. I felt like I needed to learn how to do it in order to be authentic in my writing. And I reached out to a couple of people. One, I think he started taking me out in early August, maybe, to run bait site. And like you're prepping all of the disgusting stuff into the bait barrel. He
Right.
used cookies, but he also had like beaver carcasses that we were using. And so in the middle of the summer, you're hauling 5-gallon buckets of food out to a bear site. And he was over the top about different boots, different clothing, different, because you have to really focus a lot on scent control. And I sat over bait. I never even saw a bear. And another guide had a 1-day hunt on Columbus Day available with dogs. And I thought, well, that would be cool to see the dogs, how they work. And I told him, like, even if a bear turns around and scratches the dog, I'm done. Like, I don't need to have a wounded dog or a killed dog on my hunt. And it was a phenomenal day. Beautiful, beautiful fall day. And he let the dogs out, and I got to see them change their bark, change their demeanor, go from just sniffing and stretching their leg to boom, they had a job to do. And they treed my first bear. We had to hike up the mountain to get to it. And my dad had said, if you get a bear, I'll pay for the rug. He did not anticipate me shooting a 457-pound black bear.
Yeah.
So I just remember looking up at the tree and seeing this bear, and Tim, who was my guide, going, "That's a good bear." And we had a couple other people, and they're like, "That's a really good bear. That's a really good bear." And I got into position. I fired the shot where I needed to. Everything sort of went quiet. The bear just let go of the tree and was dead by the time he fell. Yeah, he was dead when he hit the ground. And so I was just like, that was really fun. Let's go do it again. And I've taken 4 bears so far, 3 in Maine and 1 in Vancouver.
These seasons broken into sections, or do you just do it all at one time?
There is a spring hunt here if you go with any of the native tribes. You can spring hunt with them. Otherwise, it's just a fall season, and it starts the last Monday of August, I think. And depending on what method you're using, you can if you switch it up, you can actually still hunt through November and deer season. So if but you can only take 1 bear with bait, hounds, or still hunting. You can take a second bear if you so you have the potential to shoot 2 bears if you're gonna trap one of them, which I did for my bear.
That sounds like Missouri turkey season, where you can shoot a turkey on this day at this time, but you can't do it here, but you can do it there.
Yeah.
You try to explain that to someone,
Right,
and they say, "How
right.
do you
It
do
makes
that?" I
sense
said,
in my head.
I've lived here 30 years." So that was 2014. So who got you into hunting and fishing? So you surely weren't just doing 2014, you decided I'm going to do this. Surely there had to have been like other stuff prior. So let's step back even further than that. Who got
Yeah.
you going?
My dad started well, I grew up with my dad hunting, but I didn't go until I was 20, and again, for the same reason. Guy that I was dating, his family was like, "I don't hunting is ridiculous. You can just go to the store." And again, I was like, "Well, I know that what my dad's doing isn't wrong. I know that we eat the food that he brings home." And so I asked him to take me hunting, and we joke about it now because if he had had any idea what he was starting, he probably would have done things differently. So I went with him for 2 years, just following him around in the woods. I carried a pair of antlers and I rattled in a small buck. I gave myself a blood blister because I was so committed. And he asked if, right, I was in it. And he asked if I wanted him to shoot the deer. I said yes. And we built a tree stand the next season. I got my hunting license and that was in 2002. Yep. So it went from deer. I've hunted turkey. I think I started in 2013. And that was the last season in Maine where you had to be done at noon. So you could only hunt the morning and that was it. And I was pregnant with my son when I was out.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's turkey hunting. And then from
I
there
think
it
that's a,
was
I think you
moose
just
and
told a
bear.
lie. You don't turkey hunt. I think you just made a story up.
I've gone a couple times and that's it. I had to
An
do it for my
imaginative
grand slam.
haiku or something, right? Yeah, I know. I know. I know. So if you had to guess, I mean, I sometimes I go back and I try to look through the various phone apps, whatnot. How many whitetail do you think you've taken? You've taken 4 bears. How many whitetail do you think
Mhm.
you've taken over the years?
If I've been hunting for, let's say 20 years, because
Hmm.
it's hard math, I've probably shot 15.
Okay, so you're pretty successful then,
Yeah.
and you're hunting primarily timber, like where they can go wherever they want to go. I mean, it's not like you have food plots and ag and things like that where they're very predictable. So you're going to sit and one walks by and, one of those, yeah, that's hard hunting, especially if you're going to do it with a bow. I would almost say I'm not doing that. That's just a waste of my time at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and a couple of years ago, the state changed the permitting system. So if you got a doe tag,
Hmm.
you could shoot a doe and a buck. And so I will shoot a doe all day, every day before I will shoot a buck, which it's allowed me to put meat in the freezer and not, I can be way more selective about what buck I'm going to shoot. I posted it on social. I've sat and watched little crotch horns come in and bed
Sure.
down 20 yards from me.
Right.
But had I not been able to shoot a doe first, I might have wavered on whether or not I was actually going to shoot that buck because I needed to put meat in the freezer.
So do the kids, I mean, you ate it growing up. Do your kids enjoy the wild game?
My kids' favorite cut of a deer and a moose is the heart.
Really?
So they will, if we call it into my mom that we have had a successful morning, there will be that bowl of water and that frying pan ready to go when we get
Wow. Okay.
back to the house. And it's gone at lunch. It's gone.
What does she make though? She just fry it in strips? She making tacos? I mean,
Yeah.
what are you doing with
No,
it?
she just sautés it up, cleans it up, cuts it up, puts it in the frying pan with some butter. and those
Huh?
kids will literally just eat it right out of
Depending on where you live, I'm sure, I'm sure a lot of kids do that. But I bet you, if you like where I'm at here in St. Louis right now, I bet you they would absolutely just turn a nose to something like that.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've got people that I work with that, but the concept of a backstrap or a tenderloin, and I laugh because they will go to a store, and I have
Yes.
no idea what it's worth per pound right now, but it's a lot. And I'm like, now, mind you, I didn't get this for free. If you take into the
Right.
account of the hours of everything from stand placement to food plots to tags, it's not free.
No.
However, usually put 5 in the freezer. So, I mean, with that being said, we don't really have to go to the store to buy much in that
And
scheme.
there's
So,
something to be said for, pulling out a package of meat and saying, "This is the deer that I shot on this day at this field," and I can show you a picture of it, as opposed to going to something in the store and you're like, "Well, I hope this is all one animal."
no, I agree. As much as I love the antlers and the mounts and all that stuff, because most of the time I know which package is which. I mean, I've dated, with all that, and I
Yeah.
can remember, okay, that's when Justin killed that one, or that was Beth's deer, or whatever the case might be. And
Right.
yeah, there's a good story with that. So, well, listen, you got a lot going on, like in your life, So when we talk about, give me a breakdown, because I think the important thing when we talk about, like with this particular show, is really showing people that discipline and bandwidth is important. So when I say give me a breakdown of all the things on your plate, we've got day job writing, motherhood, taking care of the house, dog, property management, and I feel like there's probably some other things we're missing. So let's talk about the things on your plate because I think that's important, especially for
Yeah.
women that might be listening to this to hear. Yeah.
So I do. I have a full-time job at a private college in Maine, where I'm the vice president. So it's not a low lift. I write newspapers. It's a national magazine, plus my website. Have the 2 kids, manage the dog, manage the house, working on some other writing projects. So yeah, it is busy. It is busy, but like you and I have sort of talked about, having those workouts and just having that be a normal part of the stress relief if I need it, just part of the routine. Like not even questioning, like, oh, okay, what's on the app today? What do I need to do? I know
Right.
it's going to be a busy week. How do I maybe swap days? So I have a harder workout when I have extra time and a rock on a day where it's just I'm going to need to decompress and I have this amount of
So dive deeper into that. So, like, I know what you do, but I mean, you said a very important thing. Of all these things that a mom does, a caregiver
time.
does, I would say that the vast majority of, a little bit of a blanket statement here, but a lot of women, you said workout, and I know you work out. I mean, you talk almost on a daily basis through your coaching program, but you do them, and you do them, and sometimes at some very bizarre times.
Yes.
Right? Which
Yes.
tells me, and I'll let you kind of tell how and the whys and whatnot, but like most people aren't doing those at the hours that you're doing them, much like a podcast right now after the kids have gone to bed. So talk more about how you have built you already said it's stress management, but like
Mhm.
how do you make yourself do these things? Because sometimes it feels like you're doing these at 8, 9 o'clock at night.
It is. Yeah, and I am. And there are days where it's just I need to crawl into bed more than I need to get that workout in.
Hmm.
But you can do anything for a half hour. You can do anything really for an hour. And so at the end of the day, I've developed a good enough system when the kids are getting ready for bed for me to clean things up and prep for the next morning. Being able to tuck into the workout room and just focus, put your earbuds in, decompress.
Hmm.
For me, I sleep better. I'm not disturbing anyone. I have the weights right there, right, within an arm's length sometimes, and you feel so much better after. And so you might, some days it's harder than others to make yourself go do it. But when it's over and done with, you feel great. And I think we've worked together for a couple of years. And so it's understanding, I know this set, or I know how this is supposed to feel. How do I push myself a little bit more? Because I know it. And I think, just working to figure out if there's a injury or potential injury, what do I have to pull back on? And knowing my limits and knowing how it's gonna benefit my life beyond just checking the box to say that I got the workout in. Um, and so I will do it late at night. I will do it sometimes first thing in the morning. If it's a lazy weekend, I might double up and do a couple hours in the middle. And then once I can get outside, go rucking, I take the kids with, and so then we're all going and getting outside.
The kids starting to do the stuff with you?
Yeah. Yeah, they love it. Even if they're not doing the actual moves that I'm doing, they're still there. They might hop on the treadmill while I'm doing weights, or they might grab a weight and watch what I'm doing and try to follow along. They'll hop on the BOSU and start doing some squats. So they're seeing me do it, so they then become familiar to do it. And we don't talk about weight in my house. So it's just like, how strong are you? How good do you feel? And that's more important than eating well and sleeping.
Well, that was actually a question I was going to ask you. So you talked about stress management, and we can get into because one of my favorite moments from working with you was the shot on the moose. I want you to talk about that. But
Yes.
how important is aesthetics to you?
Less so the older I get.
Okay, why? What does that mean?
I think for me, it's as long as I feel strong, I am strong. We've had conversations about after you hit 40, things change and your hormones shift and your body starts cracking and freaking and um, your knee will swell up for 2 months and you have no idea what you did to it.
It just did.
So it just did it. I don't know why I can't bend it. So all for me at this point in my life, making sure my body's in one piece and feels good and feels healthy is more important than, I'm probably never going to be into a size 6 jean again. I'm okay with that. I've birthed 2 children who are healthy and happy and strong. So it's moving away from the I want to look great in a bikini to, can I pick up my 80-pound kid or the 80-pound dog and move them around if I need to.
You only get 4 days of summer in Maine anyway, so it doesn't matter. You're
Thank
good.
God.
Yeah,
Thank
I
God.
know. You would have absolutely, gone catatonic with the number of ticks that we had last weekend. It was not
Yes,
good.
I would've.
So, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's get into the training here. So you talked a little bit about what you like about the program and whatnot, but let's talk about that. So the moose hunt, I'm gonna go ahead and set it up. You trained really a long time for that. I mean, and it wasn't
Mhm.
just, throwing stuff here. I mean, we really dialed into that. So, you tell the story. I mean, this was like your up and down until it
Yeah.
happened type deal. So I mean, take a few moments to just talk about like the highs and lows and really what happened. Because there was one exercise in specifically that I hold on to this day that you did that I feel was why you hit that shot.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So, the main moose tag is a coveted tag. They give out maybe 4,000 tags, 3,500 to 4,000 a year, and close to 80,000 people apply. So, if you get drawn, it could potentially be a once in a lifetime hunt for you. And I got drawn in 21. And so I think almost as soon as I got drawn, we started working on the program. My dad and I drove to an area of the state that we had never hunted. And so we had a guide that was showing us around. And you cannot hunt on Sundays. So you have 6 days to get this animal. We spent Monday, didn't see anything. Tuesday, we saw maybe one or a pile. Wednesday morning, we came up over this knoll. It was beautiful. The sun was coming up. There was a bull with 2 calves. We pushed them into the woods, but we knew they were coming back out to cross the road. And so we jumped out. We stood in the road and I got into position and I saw the bull. I saw the 2 cows backlit by the sun. Perfect. And for whatever reason, I could not get my gun to fire. Like, my brain wasn't functioning with the fact that I could have sworn my safety was on, there was a bullet, and the cow started walking, which made the other 2 head into the woods and missed the opportunity. The next day so we didn't see any other moose that day. The next day, we were driving around, it was Thursday, it was rainy, and we came upon a father and son and grandfather that had shot that same moose in the same spot. So,
Yeah.
at that point, I had to mentally talk myself through of, like, if because I wanted to get a grand slam, and a grand slam in Maine is if you get a deer, a moose, a bear, and a turkey in the same calendar year. And at that point, I had already gotten a bear. I got just a bear because my moose was in September. And so having to mentally keep myself sane and, if I don't get this moose, it's okay. You still have a couple more days left. And Friday, all the other parties in camp were tagging out and leaving. And it was like us and another group, or maybe 3 groups going into Friday. One tagged out, but they said there's another bull in the area, so we went flying over there. Didn't hear anything, didn't see anything, and Dad at that point was like, "We have to go home." He anticipated if we were gonna have a guide, it would be a much easier, and it was not. Saturday morning, we're driving around, we're going back to where the other people had seen the bull, and you do a lot of, like, "Is that a stump or is that a moose? Is that a
Hmm.
stump or is that
Right.
a moose?" And we saw 2 moose, but they were too far away. Um, we headed back down one of these cuts, and I remember just looking out the window to my right and thinking, like, I could jump out and shoot a moose right now. I can jump out and shoot a moose right now. And I remember the guide hitting the brakes and just yelling, "Moose, moose, moose." And so Dad and I jumped out of the truck. I joked that we were like Yosemite Sam. We were not. But we both got into position. I stood in the middle of the road. I held my 30-06, and I think between the 2 of us, we each took 2 shots. We dropped a beautiful bull. It was 206 yards, and the bull dressed out, at 986. So he was probably over 1,200 pounds on live weight. He was a 7.5-year bull, prime prime specimen, 47-inch rat. So it was the biggest bull taken that week, and just it was a split second. Like, I had to have been ready to go to hold on to that gun, to make a good steadying shot, and put that moose down. And I remember seeing the shot when he hunched up and
Bumped.
just knowing, like, that's it.
Freehand, no doubt. You didn't
It
have
was
any
freehand.
shooting sticks. I mean, so that PVC exercise pipe, that
Yes.
one where we just have you
It was
and hold and you're
fantastic.
doing this, right?
Yeah,
It's the little things.
it
Rucking's
is.
great, squats are great, all that's great. Sometimes it's those little bitty movements that actually make the difference in that tags.
Yeah. And working my weekend, because, like, I'm right-handed. So that was fun. Yes, being able to do the PVC and holding really working my left hand, my left arm to be able to hold that gun as steady as I did.
I love that story. It's a great story. What kind of hunt you got for this fall? Is it just whitetail, or are you going to staying local, or are you going somewhere?
I'm just staying local, so I'll do
Yeah,
whitetail and bear.
very cool. And bear starts
Yeah,
when?
end of August.
End of August. What kind of
Yeah.
physicality are you going to need? So, like with that, let's go ahead and just talk about that for a moment. So, you're hauling bait. Are you in a stand? I mean, what are you doing with that?
So I am a couple of things. I want to establish a bear bait on my property.
Right?
So that will be I haven't figured out how far back into the bog. We also have a few more lanes to cut and trails to cut. So I want to put something out there just to start see if I'm going to get a family of raccoons or if there's actually bear. Like,
Right.
what am I feeding out there?
Right.
And then my friend Stacy, who I typically will hunt with, they have 4 or 5 sites that are established. So I'll go with her and either trap or I would like to shoot one of a bait. It's the only method I have not actually taken
That
a
you've not
bear.
done yet.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome if you get one on your property. That would be really
Yeah,
cool. There's nothing better than shooting some off your own property.
I
I'm
know.
convinced of that. So
Yeah.
awesome.
Well, and I have so many deer here. I joke that I'll be able to shoot one in my heels before I go to work off the back porch.
Could do that. Yeah,
That would be
you could do
amazing,
that. That would be amazing, right? That'd be a great social media pic right there of you and
right?
your heels. Yeah. Aaron, how can people find you, follow you, connect with you?
I am on Facebook and it's and a strong cup of coffee, which also matches the website. So it's and a strong cup of coffee. And then on Instagram it is woods. And so when I think of hunting, you have to have coffee. I function on coffee.
Hmm.
So it just makes sense. It's a good hunt and a strong cup of coffee.
I like it. I like it a lot. Listen, always a pleasure. Thank you for hopping on tonight, and we'll talk soon.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Got it. Cool. We've worked with Erin in our remote coaching program now for over 3 years, I think. And in that time, we've watched her tag that moose, a few bears, a bunch of whitetails. And I've also watched her use the workouts that we've created for her as a tool to not only build physical health, but mental health, something we don't always talk about, but need to on a more regular basis. If you aren't following her or her writing, I'm going to encourage you to do so. My friend Summer's here, and that means fall hunts will be right around the corner. And every day I walk into the gym, I'm amazed at two things that I see. Number one, how just pieced or thrown together and ineffective most people's workouts are. I mean, I see no rhyme or reason for what they're doing. And while they're showing up, they really don't get results. Number two, how inefficient their workouts are. People spending way too much time in between sets or only focusing on body part programs that literally have no translation to real life, let alone hunting or fishing. So I'm going to encourage you to take a look at our lineup of DIY workout programs on the website. For you elk hunters, our 3-month backcountry program will take you from base conditioning all the way to the day before you step foot on that mountain. Like to fish? Our Fit to Fish program is designed for fly fishermen, kayakers, basically those folks who do more than sit on a bucket and watch a bobber. Like to bow hunt? Our archery power program is the ticket to a smoother draw in the stand. Now you can find these and more by visiting our website at www.stayfittohunt.com. We hope you enjoyed this month's conversation. We are working on booking some guests for our summer shows, and the lineup is stacking up with folks that are going to both entertain and inspire you. I'm excited. Thanks for listening today. We appreciate you. And as always, stay fit to hunt.